So we're gonna now we're gonna figure out how to change the values in these rows and columns here. So my thought process here is I want to use map to generate a new version of the board. Being as we can't directly mutate the state like we talked about in the last video. And then I want to set the state to that new version of the board. So I'm going to do like const new board equals this dot state dot board dot map, and then for the parameters I could name them anything I want, of course, but I'm going to say state row just to avoid confusion, since we're going to be accessing props that are called row, column, etc. from props. Okay. So I'm also going to need to use the index, so I'm going to say I for index, and then hit some curly braces. And now in here, I want to target the particular row that was clicked on. So I'm going to say if I, as in the index we're mapping over, equals square props dot row, then we're going to do stuff. One thing I want to I should have mentioned is that when you're still getting used to using map, you should always return. That should be the first thing you do, just so you don't forget. You have to say just return state row before you think about how you're going to do what you need to do. Just write return state row, because if you don't, map will default to the default return value of any function, which, as you know, is undefined, and it'll confuse you. So always remember to return the first thing you do. So now I'm going to do, like I said, if I equals square props dot row. Now I'm going to map over the row. Okay, so I'm going to say state row dot map, and then now same thing, just to avoid confusion, state column, and now J, just so we don't get it mixed up with the index from state rows. J, same thing. First thing you do, return state row, state column. All right. Now we do same thing. If J equals square props dot column, then we say state row at J equals X. Okay. Now we do last part, which is this dot set state board to new board. All right. Now let's see if that worked. Keep my fingers crossed. Works, see? Pretty cool, right? So let's just recap what we did here. We used the flexibility of map to our advantage to just go over each row, find the one that matches the row index we're getting from props here, see? And if we find that row from props, then we just map over the row off of state, right? and do the same thing all over again except with state column. If j equals, j being the index of the index in the state row, if j equals square props.column, then we set that index to x. Now, when I was working on this, I tried to do this, and you might think so too, like state column equals x. And that did not work. I'm still trying to figure out exactly why. For the life of me, I'm not sure. I might have to hit up Stack Overflow about that. But you do have to operate at the row level from here. Okay? So this is nice. There's actually a couple things, there's like a couple other things I want to show you that will help clean up this, the verbosity of this, this code. For one thing, we can make use of a feature in ES6 that's called destructuring. Okay? It's actually the same reason why you see this syntax when you first generate when you first generate a project with Create React App. So destructuring is pretty sweet. We can say we can actually pull off properties from an object, and then we don't have to write like the whole path like this, square props.row, square props.column. So it's the same as saying like var row equals square props.row, var column equals square props.column, etc., etc. Instead of all that, you can just do let and then open curly braces and then pull in whatever you need. So I need row, I need column, and eventually I'll need square, but we won't add that yet, equal square props. Okay? It looks a little backwards, this kind of right to left readability factor is a little foreign, but that's exactly what it's doing. It's the same as saying var row equals square props dot row. Okay, these destructured variables have reference to square props dot row or square props dot column. So now we can go through and get rid of that right there, which wasn't a huge change for right now. But if you have a lot of stuff that you need to pull off of props, or if it's pretty deeply nested and you don't want to write dot a million times, then you can do that. We could do the same thing with state if we wanted to. We could say const board equals this dot state, and then we don't need to do this. Okay. Hopefully I didn't break anything. Let's just check. Nope, still works. Okay, and it's a little bit cleaner. So that's pretty cool. And that's all working. I guess the next thing to do would be to have like a player turn. Okay. So let's see. The way we did this in TicTacToe was we had like a little inlined ternary thing there. You know what I mean? So what we'll do is we'll pull that off of state, player turn. See that? It's the same as if I did this dot state dot player turn. It's just a little more concise. Okay, that's interesting, right? Yeah, and that's because we're not toggling player turn. Okay, so we should do that in here. Player turn this dot state dot player turn negated, like this with the bang operator. Okay, blah 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 blah. This always trips me up. Anyway, I'm gonna work on that and get that fixed and show you the code for that. But once that's all working, you'll be pretty well set up um, to implement like a check for win function, um, and also some functionality that keeps you from placing a piece once the square is filled. Um, Again, it's all just a matter of like examining state and seeing if the conditions of each if any winning conditions are met or if any rules are being broken, like setting a piece on a spot on the board. So I'm gonna get the player turn thing working, um, and I'll be sure to get that code to you. If you have any questions, of course, ask me. I'd be happy to help you out. And have fun with this React app. It's a pretty cool one.